we are here. One Firefly partnered with Lutron to bring you Owning Your Luxury Market, Strategies for Winning More High Value Projects. So we are, normally we would wait around. There's lots of people still dropping in here. We appreciate that, everyone. But we've got so much rich content for you. We're actually going to get going. Hello, everyone. I see all the locations: Los Angeles, Novato. Oh my goodness.
Awesome. I'm going to kick us off and just remind everybody that we will send a copy of this recording. So no need to take frivolous notes or screenshot. We will send a copy of the deck and the recording to everybody. So Ron, if you want to click the next slide, let's get moving.
I do, and I want to say hi to Jimmy. I see Jimmy's here from the metropolis of Lafayette. Hey, Jimmy, thanks for joining.
All right, everybody. We have a tight agenda today. We're going to try and keep us as close to an hour as possible, leave some room for questions. We'll do a very quick introduction. Then we're going to have everybody in this group get together and really put themselves in that luxury mindset before we talk about branding, relationship building tactics. And then, like I said, we'll leave some time to conclude and have some questions. We like to keep the chat open. We like it to have interactive. I don't like to speak to a computer, so feel free to chat with us as we go, and we'll try to answer things live as well. If not, we'll get to it at the end. So my name is Kendall. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at One Firefly. You can see we have QR codes for our LinkedIn profiles. We'd love to connect with you all. And I am joined by the one and only Ron Callis, our CEO.
Hello, everybody. Super honored to be here and to be hanging out with Kendall and Rebecca and LJ from Lutron. And we're excited to share with you all this fun content.
All right. And then we also have Rebecca.
Yeah, my name is Rebecca. I'm the corporate marketing lead here at One Firefly. Excited to be here with everyone. Couple housekeeping things. As Kendall mentioned, we will send out the webinar recording and deck to everyone. You'll see that in your inboxes tomorrow. And if not, please feel free to reach out to us directly for a copy. I'll be emceeing this event, so if you have questions during, please feel free to drop them in the chat or the Q&A at any time. Any we don't get to live, I'll be collecting for the end.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Jean, otherwise known as LJ. I'm on the Luxury marketing team. I work with Matt Singer and Kyle Yamamoto on dealer communication. And today I'm going to be going over the dealer marketing credit, otherwise known as DMC. And then I'll pass it to Ron.
Awesome. All right, folks. So I think many, if not all of you know this, but you're generally serving a percentage of society. And the idea is there are folks that are your clients, your ICP, your ideal customers, and they range, you know, it's too generalized to simply say folks that are wealthy, but there's actually, like, you know, classes of wealth. So the super wealthy, meaning, you know, they have billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, to folks that have tens of millions of dollars, people that have single digit millions of dollars, and or maybe they don't have millions of dollars, but they maybe have a household income, or maybe a dual household income, and they are ultimately customers that you would want to serve. So these are the types of end clients, I'm speaking residentially here, obviously, that you would desire are the people that are reaching out to you to make contact so that you can provide your products and services and your awesome Lutron solutions. I want you to keep that in mind as we progress through this content. And I know we're here right now. What is this? This is mid-October 2025. It's a bit of a wonky economy. And so they call this a K-shaped economy. If you want to, you know, an economics 101 explanation of at least what some would say is happening. K-shaped means, and again, this is not a political statement. I'm apolitical for the most part. But it's, you know, there are people in society, you know, a shape like a K, meaning there's the vertical leg of the K, and then there's part of the K that goes up and part of the K that goes down. Part of the society that have assets right now, meaning they have houses or they have stocks or bonds or, you know, art or whatnot, those members of society, probably many of you that are watching, are generally doing okay. Maybe not, you know, great, but they're generally doing okay because your assets are inflating, they're increasing in value. But there also are, I'm just acknowledging, there are parts of society right now that are maybe struggling more. So although, and there's different types of economies and different types of business cycles, I'm just pointing out that there are many, many integrators that we speak to, we talk to, that Lutron works with every day, that are absolutely doing wonderful in business right now. And there are others that aren't, and they're struggling a little bit more. We're hoping to speak to all of you out there because we know that you want to grow your business. And we're so going to try to give you some perspectives of how to think about your business and your brand and how you can identify that, train that within your team, and then ultimately put that message out to the world so that you attract those right types of customers into your business. Think about your business as a magnet, and you want to attract that ideal type of customer so that they knock on your door so that you can help them. So I want to take you down a thought experiment here. All of you probably, to some extent, have been that luxury consumer, if you will. Maybe you've purchased a piece of jewelry. Maybe you've purchased a nice purse. Maybe you've purchased a nice car. And I want you to think about those luxury brands and how they treated you. And I'm going to inverse that, and I'm going to say how you felt going through that experience. And so I'm going to use just a personal experience of mine. It's from earlier this year. It was over the summer, actually. And I took my wife to New York for a long weekend. And we stayed at the Mandarin right there on Central Park. And so that's a 5-star hotel. It's a nice hotel. And the experience that we had never stayed in a Mandarin before. So for us, it was a one-of-one experience. And we of course entered the beautiful lobby. There's beautiful flowers. You actually had to take the elevator up to the front desk. And when we checked in, just what stuck with me as a luxury experience, and frankly, I'm still talking about it today, is that after the person at the front desk checked us in, that she handed us our card and she bowed as she handed us our room key. And then she proceeded to actually step from behind the counter, guide us to the elevator, and then she went up the elevator with us to bring us personally to our room. And my wife and I kept looking at each other like, do they think we're royalty? Why are they doing this? This feels really special. And then, you know, the woman gave us a demo of the room and did the normal things. But it was really memorable, and it made us feel special. And many of you that have been in one of these stores or been in one of these experiences or stayed at one of these hotels, you've had a similar experience. And now if we go back to the fact that you are serving luxury consumers, they have certain expectations of how they expect to be treated or how they want to be treated. And we're going to challenge everyone here to maybe think about the way your business acts and operates day to day. And are you at every single touch point demonstrating a memorable experience in the eyes of that customer, such that months later or years later, they're still telling that story? And so that would be one of my recommendations for you today, is to, as we go through this content, is there some aspect of your business that perhaps you could elevate in a way that would make your business more memorable and ultimately would aid in your ability to grow your business? So that's the thought experiment. Now, many of you struggle to think about the necessity to invest in marketing in your business. I know that because Kendall and Rebecca and I and our team, we've had many conversations with many of you over many years. And I want you to think about, if you're a business serving luxury consumers, by the way, this is a generative search result. We'll talk a little bit about search in a little bit. But I just typed in, you can do the same experiment so that you know there's no aiding and abetting here. I just went to Google and I said, how much on average do luxury brands spend on marketing and advertising? And these luxury brands often are spending a lot of money, 20 to 30% of revenue. I know no one here is spending 20 to 30% of revenue. We are not advocating that you spend 20 to 30% of revenue. We are advocating that you spend somewhere around 2 to 5% of revenue. And for many of you, that still might feel like quite a bit. If you are so bold, uh, uh, drop into the chat what percentage, you don't have to say your revenue, but what percentage you are investing in marketing or advertising. We'll see who's bold enough to put that out there in the chat. But the idea is, here's an example of F1. Yes, I know that Rolex is no longer the sponsor of F1, and now Tag Heuer is the new sponsor. But for years and years, Rolex was the sponsor. And so it begs the question, I want you to think about, why would a luxury brand spend so much money to be the sponsor of an event like F1? Do you think they understand their demographic and their target audience, and that some of their target audience might be the fans that are in the stands or the fans that are watching from home? I think the answer is yes. Now, if you were to go to Rolex and say, Rolex, what was your return on investment from buying that sign at the F1 race in Las Vegas? It might be hard for them to exactly state, well, my ROI was this. So when you are, and we're positioning that you guys and gals are luxury brands, or you have the opportunity to be a luxury service provider serving your clientele in the marketplace. And there's value to you putting your brand in a consistent way in front of your audience, your ideal customers. Right? So, Kendall, I think this is where I pass it to you.
Yes, I think you said it best right here. Luxury consumers aren't necessarily buying things, but they're buying how those things make them feel. So when we're talking about that luxury experience, this isn't something that's necessarily optional. This is their expectation. They expect to have this type of experience or feel this type of way when they're willing to put in such an investment to something that's such a large part of their everyday life. So the thought experiment that we really want to take you all through within the next remainder of this hour is when you think about all of the different touch points through the journey that one of your prospects come to you from when they first find you all the way through to becoming a customer and then staying a customer. There are times at every single part of that experience where you can sort of weave in that really white glove service and make them feel special, from how they see when they research you, that design and sales process, the construction process, final deliverables, and how you make them feel right at the end of their experience with you, and then how you touch base with them on an ongoing basis. So today we're going to really hit on the bookends of these, the research and services and support. So Ron, if you want to head to the next slide, the first part of really trying to figure out how do I want to deliver that luxury experience starts with really understanding and knowing your brand. And the perception is your brand. There is a quote by Jeff Bezos that says, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So think about that. What are people saying about you when you're not right there in front of them? And, so you may be sitting here saying, I know my brand. My colors are blue and black. I have a really great tagline. I think there might even be some core values listed on my website somewhere. Your brand encompasses so much more than that. Everything from your mission statement to your purpose, understanding exactly who that ideal and luxury client is, making sure everybody on your team knows all of these things. What are your differentiators and what makes, your value so much better than your competitors? And of course, your visual identity as well. That goes into all of the logo and look and feel.
I would just want to add one comment here,
Yeah, go ahead.
Kendall. I've been, and I know we have been in many conversations where clients will go, well, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, right? And maybe they have won a certain award from Lutron, or maybe they have gained certain certifications, or they've had some status. And I'm just going to challenge you all, like, if you don't brag on your company, who's going to brag on your company? So it's a wonderful way to market your business, is to talk about why you're different and better or superlative in some way. And that way you never talk disparagingly about any competitor. There's never a good reason to do that. You just talk about what makes your company different and stand out, and do that consistently. And that's really where the magic is made.
Yeah, great point. All right, so let's start with branding assets. And I want to position this in a different way in that when you're thinking about your brand and maybe the trifold that you hand out or your business card, or you can see here your vehicle wrap, what you're really looking for is both consistency and quality. So think about that experience, that timeline we just showed. Let's say, you're in your neighborhood, you see this nice vehicle wrap parked in front of your neighbor's house. You're looking to do some work on your own home, so you walk over, you introduce yourself, they hand you this really nice high-end business card. You go to the showroom, you're in there, you're starting a great experience, and then they hand you a trifold that's printed out on a piece of computer paper. Maybe it's kind of folded misshapenly, and it's really sort of this like break in that experience where you kind of ruin that consistency, ruin that flow. So think about all of those touch points within your customer and all of those assets and how you can meet that luxury standard all the way through the experience. That same goes to show with your imagery and videography. That imagery, of course, will live on any printed material, but it will be on your social media, it will be on your website. The biggest thing that I hear when we're talking to customers that want to work with on Firefly is they say, Kendall, how do I make sure that my website, I don't want too many people on my website. I don't want people that are going to call me for projects that are too small or, they want me to do X, Y, and Z. They want me to hang a TV. It's not worth my time. I'm only looking for this caliber, this level of project. And our response is great. I don't care how many people are on your website. We want the right people to reach out to you. So how do you make your website or your assets that pre-qualification tool as you put imagery or video that is reflective of the types of projects, the types of homes you work in, and the types of projects that you capture. So you want to make sure if you don't have that, take a look at your site, see where that might be missing, where it might be telling the wrong story of what you're looking for, and go out and capture that content. You can reach out to a local photographer in your area. You can reach out to us. We're happy to help you capture some of that imagery, but you want to make sure that that imagery is reflective of your project, that you want to attract, the people you want to attract, and we'll talk about this a little later, it needs to be unique because AI likes that now, doesn't it, Ron?
It does. It sounds a little weird, folks, but not only are the Google bots crawling your website, but now the AI bots are also crawling your site. And pretty soon it'll be AI agents crawling your site. And they are reading not only your text, but they're reading your images and they're reading your videos. And they're interpreting that into language that then makes your site indexable by those content. And if that is a powerful driver, folks, for that content to be unique and only identified as on your website. And even the types of homes, it's going to know the architectural style, the furniture style, the geography. It's going to look out the windows and know geographically where it's located. It is going to know, which means that you want to put awesome content on your website and on your social media on a regular basis.
Absolutely. And then we'll touch quickly on website. Again, you want to take that nice, beautiful imagery, place it on your website. And really with your website, I want you to think of it like a virtual or a digital showroom. As you navigate through it, pretend like you're one of your prospects and does it deliver that same experience that a showroom might? Or if you don't have a showroom or a place where you're showcasing some of your work and technology, then you want to make sure your website is built out really nice. So you have a place that you can reference, that you can demo from. There's lots of really good information that you want to have on that site. So Ron, I'll hand it over to you now.
Awesome. So thank you, Kendall. So the game has changed, folks, and that there's a new frontier now for raising the awareness and visibility of your brand. And I'm being specific to the idea that customers are doing research. And yes, they may have been referred to you by the architect or the interior designer, or maybe your past client. But that customer is also using this thing called the internet and they're doing research. And for years, we, One Firefly, have been exclusively talking about, them searching on traditional search. You think Google search. You also can look at paid search running Google ads. But there in the last 3 years since ChatGPT came out, and now there's Gemini and there's Perplexity and there's Claude and there's all of these different environments, they're also conducting search in AI. So we call that AI search. And these environments are important for your business to show up, and the activities, the investments in time, money, and energy that you have to go into as a business to ensure you're showing up not only in Google, but in the generative search results now from Google. And you actually you saw a slide a few moments ago where that was generative search results, and we'll show you another one here in just a minute. But also where you are showing up in AI. And I don't want to get overly technical, but I will break it down for my super nerds here that are taking notes. In AI, you need to make sure that your business is showing up in what's called the training set data, meaning that when AI is learning from the entirety of the internet, that your business and the solution service brands offering that you offer are in that training set. But you also want, when AI is cued to go out and do web search, you then want to be findable in that web search. So the good news is it's entirely doable and manageable to make that happen. And if that's currently not in the activities that you're managing in-house or managing with your agency, those are going to be activities that you want to start investigating right now, because AI search, as we'll show you here in a minute, is growing exponentially. But if we do go to what you've all known for many years, which is the idea of showing up in Google, the idea is you want to be found in the top 3 positions in organic. So there's page 1 of Google. Ads are usually at the top and or the bottom of the page. Google's always playing with that ad position. And that is wonderful because you can pay to play to be in that ad position. And for many of you, that should be a part of your strategy. But if you're going to be found organically, I'm going to tell you, it's sad. All that really matters is getting in position 1, 2, or 3. And so if you're in position 5 or 6, you're getting a fraction of the traffic to the people at the top. And if you're on page 2, you don't exist. So you want to be very meticulously identifying the long tail phrases that you want to get found for and making sure you have a strategy in place. And so what is doable, and this is an example, this is one of our great clients, Lee Travis over at Ypliance. You ultimately want to balance how is your website getting found in search and AI search. You want to know how it's getting found and how does that match up with the specialties that your business offers. Let's say you really want to drive your lighting fixture business. Well, then you need to make sure you've identified keywords and then developed content and content strategies that are ensuring your business is showing up in the way that you want to get shown up. Because then we can go into, there's various environments through Google Search Console, where you now can identify, not theoretically, how is my business showing up, but exactly what are the top phrases that are leading to traffic being driven into my website. Any good marketer is going to be able to guide you through this process. And it's really important to match up your business goals as well with let me click on the right button here, your business goals with what is true in terms of objective data.
Now, and how those luxury buyers are actually phrasing that stuff too, because how you and I may say it might not be how somebody types it in as well. So tools like that help you really drill down into what are your end users physically typing in.
100%. And so it is easy for an SEO or a marketing agency to simply develop phrases that are so odd or peculiar, they can get you to the top of page 1. But you actually want to be matching page position with traffic, because where you want to be is, like Kendall said, what are the phrases those end customers or prospects are searching for, and how am I actually showing up for those where there's what's called search volume. Now, what you see on the screen, this is an example of a generative search result. It is growing exponentially, folks, in terms of Google trying to serve up the right answer based on your search query. So if you notice, this is almost the entire page, because I opened up the AI window. This is a generative AI search result. I said, what are the best lighting control platforms for my home? And convenient for Lutron, there's a lot of Lutron names here on the screen that Google has determined, this Google Gemini has determined are appropriate answers for that result. And if you then notice, these generative search results can ultimately drive traffic back to your website as well, because you see there are links. So if you want to go and you want to verify the results that are being served up to you, the visitor on the website, can click those links and then ultimately go visit those websites. So we are actually seeing more and more traffic. It's exponential growth of traffic landing on websites coming from AI search engines and from generative search results. Now, those numbers are generally still much smaller than Google's search traffic, but they're growing very fast. And we'll show you a graphic to demonstrate that. So you can see that Google, has a tremendous trillions of search results that are happening in Google today. But when you dig deeper, those numbers are declining, but it's still massive. Okay, so it's very, very big. It's going to be very important and relevant for your business for at least the years to come. I don't totally predict the future, but I can see at least the next few quarters. And it's still going to be relevant. But you have the ChatGPTs and all the large language models that are on a meteoric rise. It's an exponential increase in terms of the amount of search volume that's happening there. And it's the nuance is, yes, you want to get some of that traffic back to your site, but you also want that brand placement. You want to be the brand, the service provider in your market that is shown up as the authority on the topic that someone is maybe doing general research, often called top of the funnel research. So maybe they don't know exactly what they're going to buy or when they're going to buy it, but they are doing general research, and now your business, your service and solutions are being served up. It's helping to ultimately build the authority and the trust of the people that are doing research in your business. And so here's an example of actually inside of, this is inside of ChatGPT, someone using ChatGPT as if it was Google. And they're actually going there and asking a similar question to what they might have asked in Google in the past. And I'll just challenge, would you not want to be the company named in the results? Because I know that I told the story recently. I purchased the washing machine in our house. We got a new washer and dryer because our old one died. And the decision was made off of the results, a top 5 table research project that I had done and shared with my wife. And I said, here's top 5, you go pick one. And she picked the one from that list that best met her expectations. And a purchasing decision was made right out of chat. And that's gonna continue to accelerate, folks. This is not a trend that's likely gonna die anytime soon. And so it's really a matter of you and your staff becoming aware of this new world of online search. We, when Firefly, have crafted an education article. Feel free to scan the QR code here. Nowhere in this article do we say that you need one Firefly to help you solve this. You can solve this yourself. You could solve this with other agencies. And or if you do want to talk about it or better understand it, we'd love to chat with you and dialogue with you the ways that you can make sure. There's also a lot of new lingo that's getting passed around. It's mentioned right down here at the bottom. LLMs, AEO, GEO, like trying to help you translate what does all this lingo mean, and how do you leverage these technologies to make sure your business is visible. Kendall.
All right. So as you saw earlier, we're now going to shift gears a little bit to talk about your showroom. And, the One Firefly team, we actually just wrapped up our all-staff event up in Indianapolis, where we had the opportunity to visit an incredible showroom. The Tri-Phase team was so gracious to welcome us into their showroom. Ron, you were there. Talk to us about what just that experience was like.
I have been in many showrooms over the last 26 years, and I just said there's so much to be said for a well thought out space where the staff, now in this case, our team, these are like 20, 25 One Firefly team members. We were in Indianapolis this summer, this August, and Robert gave us a personal tour. So we felt like royalty getting taken around by Robert Hacker. And the space was stunning. It was beautiful. It was well thought out. There was rhyme and reason to everything that was on display. There was a script of sorts of what gets talked about and in what order. And we ended up navigating around this floor plan and then landed at the lighting lab. And Robert, for example, was educating us that the typical consumer doesn't wake up building a new house thinking they need beautiful lighting in their home. It's usually an afterthought. But when they're brought through this experience and the final experience is helping them understand the difference of beam spreads and color temperature and wall wash and linears, the end of that conversation is every single customer wants to give him a set of plans so that they can design the lighting design for the space. So it was awesome. I mean, there's a lot to be said for a well thought out space and story that aligns with how to go through the space and talk about the space. And I think that's where the opportunity lies, is for the folks watching to design that into their business.
One quick thing that it makes me laugh because it actually contradicts slightly of what's on the screen that says the moment that your prospect steps inside, the sale has already begun. One thing that Robert over at Triphase does is he actually prints out, they have a dedicated parking spot for prospects where they print out the prospect's name. So it's personalized as they're parking in the parking lot. So that sales process has already begun even before they're actually stepping in the door. But it really gets your mind going of how do I deliver this luxury experience in my showroom? And there's so many things to consider. First of all, you want to make sure you have a warm welcome when someone walks in the door. Bring your most friendly person, your most personable teammate, somebody who really knows the space to greet whoever is coming through the door and anticipate their preferences. If they've mentioned to you, hey, I'm going to bring the little kids with me, maybe you have crayons and a coloring book, or maybe you put a fun movie on in your theater. What a cool experience that would be for them. If it's a second meeting and you saw that one of them was drinking sparkling water the last time we were there, maybe you have that sitting on the desk so that you can offer them, the type of water that they desire when they sit down if they're thirsty. Of course, you want to make sure everything is working in your showroom. I know that can be challenging. There's a lot of updates. Everything's kind of constantly ongoing, under construction. We don't want to demo anything that's not working. That is not the luxury experience, and that disrupts that pattern of just that white glove experience. So lots of different things to consider, and you want to just overall be making sure that you are hosting, not selling. Ron, we didn't feel like, you were being educated about all of these different components to lighting, but you didn't feel like you were being sold on them. You feel like you were in an experience, like an immersive experience where you're learning about all of this stuff, right?
It was palpable. I mean, I know many of you on this call sell and operate this way, so I'm not diminishing anyone watching or listening, but I would tell you it was awesome to watch Robert in action doing it, and we even made the comment, and my team was observing this, that the experience felt like we were learning every step of the way through the space. And at the end of the day, what Robert's doing when it's a real customer is he's just gauging, are they interested in this or not? Would they want this potentially designed into their project? It was terribly smooth. It was awesome.
Yeah. So speaking of showroom, events are also an awesome way that you can utilize a showroom space. Go ahead.
Yeah, I promise folks I won't read every word here, but I just like, what is an event? It's an in-person experience that brings your brand to life, letting people interact with your luxury solutions. I want you to think about incorporating more of these into your life, into your business, as a way to help you raise your visibility and drive business. And if you think about the idea that you're bringing the right types of folks into your business, into your event, it's ultimately for a purpose. So maybe you're trying to develop new relationships with architects or designers or other tradespeople, or maybe you're trying to give prospects that are on some level on the line a wonderful experience and indoctrination or introduction to your company. And or maybe you want to separately just give thank yous and maintain and nurture the relationships with your clients or trade partners. Those are really the reasons why businesses are often putting on events. Now, if you want a cheat sheet And I know Kendall and Rebecca mentioned you're all going to get the link to this presentation as a thank you. We'll send this to you so you can download it. But if some of you want a screenshot, this is a really good image to screenshot, because these are common types of events based on the target audience. I won't read all of them, but if you're trying to solicit that new architect, holding lunch and learns partnered with Lutron, or maybe through your CEDIA outreach instructor coursework, it's a great way to get someone's attention and have them help you. Bobby, you're welcome for the cheat sheet. Yeah, our pleasure. New trade partners, maybe you're going to have an open house. Maybe you have, like, I know what some companies are doing, because I was just invited to one in Palm Beach, Florida. A dealer just put on a video wall on display. Another dealer in Fort Lauderdale, if you can tell I'm in South Florida, actually had his Lutron showroom. He got the new Ketra fixtures installed everywhere, and he was having another grand opening and inviting all of his trade partners to that event. Again, putting on an event, champagne, hors d'oeuvres, music, world-class networking with who's who of the design community in South Florida. And those are just awesome ways to raise the way that your audience and constituents think about your business. Now, we want you to remember, prior to holding the event, you really want to be particular. Who do you want at this event? And then what are the actions you're going to take to raise the visibility? Is this a very curated event where it's just you're totally comfortable with, 10 or 20 highly curated individuals being in the room over the course of several hours? Or are you trying to do a broader event and you really want to bring in numbers, maybe hundreds through your space? You want to look at email outreach, personal invitation outreach, phone outreach. Maybe for some of these people, you actually want to send a car and pick them up and bring them to your event. These are always good ideas. I'm just going to keep it moving. And you do want to think about, as Kendall mentioned, who are your friendly people that wear a smile? Not diminishing people on your team that don't wear a smile, but maybe you don't want them on the front line greeting people as they're coming into your show space. Or maybe you want your best and your brightest to be the ones giving the demo or explaining the technology or having that critical role in the event. You also have I know many of you like to have your branded swag. We'll talk about swag in a little bit, but this is a great time to have your swag. You could totally have a gift bag ready for people as a welcome gift or a parting gift. Now, we are, as marketers, so don't hate on us, but we're really going to strongly recommend you get first name, last name, and email address of everyone that is actually at your event. And that is not so you cyber stalk them afterwards. That is so that you can say thank you. You can say thank you for coming to our event, and that's just that little touch. By the way, I mentioned the Mandarin Hotel. Would you believe a week after we stayed there, we were back home, we got a personal handwritten note from the young lady that had checked us in. She also had checked us out at the hotel, and that she had sent it handwritten to our house saying she hoped we had a wonderful stay and she looked forward to seeing us again. Holy cow, it was fantastic. I mean, it made us feel so special, although I'm pretty sure she does that to everyone. But we felt special. And that's what you guys want to do. You want to make your folks feel special. You do want to send that thank you, ideally promptly at the end of the event. And you ultimately want to talk to your team and you want to debrief. If you're ever at a trade show and you go to the One Firefly booth and you visit our booth at the end of a work day, you actually will see our entire team powwowing, and we are comparing notes on every conversation we had with all of you every single day, because we're trying to capture that while it's fresh. So if there's things that weren't clear or we need to do better or complaints or issues, we capture it so we can act on it. And likewise, if there's interest of some sort, we want to make sure that we're serving up. If we made a promise to follow up with something with one of you, we want to make sure we act on that promptly. The little tip here, have a photographer, if not a professional photographer, a junior photographer. That means a junior member of your team with their iPhone or their gimbal, And maybe you're capturing a little bit of social video. Remember, you want to be capturing it in horizontal and portrait, depending on your use case. But that makes for great content for your social media post-event. And then this is a bit regimented. It is what yields better results. In that we want you to really think about strategically, how do you map out your sequencing of nurture and follow-ups, particularly if there's really good prospects that were at an event. Maybe that's a trade partner you're really hoping to do business with, or maybe it's a customer. So designing out that plan in detail and everyone understanding who owns what role, it's going to help you ultimately get more return on investment from putting on an event, because it's a lot of work. And you want to make sure that your business is ultimately benefiting. So events are they are strategic marketing activities for your business. They have a purpose. It is not just a party, people drinking wine and beer, and you call it a day. You can do that, but it's better when you are approaching it around what can this ultimately generate for the business. And the key here is, if this is demanding on your team, design a mechanism where maybe you do this once a quarter. Maybe you do it twice a year, but if you're going to do it really well. Doing a few things really well is much better than doing a bunch of things poorly. You're going to get far better yield for your business, investing the time, money, and energy in doing it well. And this is an awesome way to build out your pipeline. Here you're going to see, I'm going to rapid fire through these. These are a bunch of social posts of great integrators across the country that have held events. And this shows how not only did they hold an amazing event, but then how they promoted that event on their social media. So here you see SAV. SAV not only put it on their social media, they did a press release. There's blog articles on their website. There's beautiful photography. I mean, they are really best in class. They have an events page. They're one of the very few integrators in North America that have an events page on their website. So definitely worth taking a look at what they're doing. It's really good. You have Ypliance. Ypliance has locations in Seattle and Spokane and down in Scottsdale, and they are actually regularly holding events at all three of those locations. And they just do a wonderful job of reaching out to not only prospects, but existing customers and trade partners, both potential trade partners and builders and desirable ones. It's really an ongoing strategy. This is out of the box thinking here. Here you see Lelch from Go Lelch, that's their website. They actually invited various people to go have a spa day. So, you know, various people at their designers or architects' offices, no selling involved. Let's just go have a spa day. Why? Because at the end of the day, business is about people doing business with people. You know, you don't have to talk about products or services or projects to actually build your business and have you in a position to grow your business because of these activities. This is a classic trade show. This is an event up in, this again, Lelch again, and they did a trade show. This is a local little design community trade show. And again, proper signage, literature, demos, all looked really great. Here's Spire bringing an architect into their showroom and doing lunch and learn trainings. So just not only do they get to give them the education and the CEU credits, but they also get to, the architect in this case, gets to see their space and meet their people, really integrating your businesses. Just a brilliant strategy. Here's Listen Up out of Colorado. And there was a touring B&W show from Abbey Road Studio, the speakers from Abbey Road Studios with the Beatles and whatnot. And so guess what? That's to existing customers and prospects come in and learn from this manufacturer talking about this cool stuff. And a lot of nostalgia involved. They did that in their invites and the way they got people to this event. And then they did a great job putting it out on social media. And this is GHT out of Atlanta. I mean, they have a beautiful world-class space, so much technology on display. Gift bags, they're your swag gift bags, and they are regularly hosting members of the design build community in their space. I'm going to switch gears and talk about something that is not often talked about. So this might come out of left field, and that is gifting. And the angle I'm going to be talking about gifting is how to use this as a strategy to get the attention of people that you would like to have their attention. These are architects, these are designers, these are builders, and it could even be potential prospects that you want to get their attention. It's the intentional practice of giving thoughtful, relevant items and experiences to clients, partners, and prospects. What I am not talking about is you just sending your company logoed shirt to people. There's a time and a place for that. I'm not going to knock that, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. I want you to think about that architect or designer that you really want to do business with. I want you to think about that architect or designer or builder that you love working with. And you want to make sure that you're top of mind and always thought of in the highest regard. What are the thoughtful? The key word here is thoughtful. What are the thoughtful type of actions you could take that show that you are listening, you're paying attention, and you care about the relationship, or you care about building a relationship? So I'm just going to give you a thought experiment real quick. What if on LinkedIn, you're following an architect and you, a member of the architect team that you really want to be doing business with, you would love to be their go-to, and you observe maybe an emotional from the heart message that they did post on LinkedIn, and maybe it was about their child getting ready to go away to college. My son's a junior in high school, so this idea for me is it's a year and a half away. It's very close. My wife and I are dreading it, and hopeful and optimistic. But nonetheless, if someone makes that post and then you see it and you pick up a book, maybe something that was really meant something to you when you went through that life phase, and you write a personal message from the heart about going through that and what it was like for you, and that the message online touched them, and that you go ahead and mail that first class to their office. Maybe you require signature so that you know the person you intend to receive it receives it. Do you think there's a chance they're going to wonder who in the world you are and why you just made that act? That's what we're talking about, is using gifting to get the attention of people so that you have an opportunity to build a relationship. On my podcast, Automation Unplugged, I'm the face, but I have an amazing team, including Rebecca, that helps drive the back end to actually make this show possible. But I interview integrators. And recently I interviewed Andres Klein of Maxicon down here in Miami. And this is, what you see in the picture is a piece of custom artwork that he had an artist fabricate. And he actually gifts these out to architects, designers, and custom builders in South Florida that he would like to earn a relationship with. And so if you want to hear about that, hear first person, scan that QR code, you can go watch it on YouTube and hear about his experiences. But I'm letting you know, whether you have a large budget or you have a very small budget, the idea is thoughtfulness in the gift.
There's a reason we don't have the word luxury actually on the slide, because we put personalized.
Yes.
Not like it's about the thought. I mean, it's the thought, truly the thought that counts over the price point.
The price point. Let's pretend like an off-Broadway show comes through your town. You buy 2 tickets and you gift them to that custom builder that you've been working with. And you just say, hey, I know you've been working so hard. I want you to go have a night on the town on us. We love working with you and your team. We're honored to have that right. And please take this gift and enjoy. I mean, my goodness, they're going to think you're the bee's knees. So I want you to think about gifting, and I'm going to challenge some of you. This is where you might throw tomatoes, not only to do this during the holidays. Why? Because everybody is gifting during the holidays. Gift at other times, key touch points, unexpected times. That's when it's ultimately going to get people's attention. And then we want you to think about, now that you've gifted, there does need to be a strategy in terms of how you then are following up to try to ultimately earn that relationship. So this is where the science gets into it. Yes, you can gift, but then maybe a sequence, you drop a LinkedIn message, and then maybe you drop off a handwritten message to their office, and then you leave a voicemail. And yes, persistence pays. And at some point, it is a high probability they will say, yeah, let's meet for a 15-minute coffee. Let me see what you're all about. And that's what you're going for here. So in Andres' words, he said, I can tell you that for every delivery, that's of his artworks and gifts. By the way, he has lots of different types of gifts. He has a gift where he gifts hourglasses, and his message is a personal note about time and about how time is finite and you need to spend time with people that matter. How thoughtful and beautiful. He'll talk about that on the podcast. And his open rate is spectacular, and they've just continued to accelerate their investing in this strategy. Gifting is a strategy, not swag. Lots of reasons. Gifting is a really awesome way, not often practiced, that can lead to your growth. This is a great book, Giftology. I read this many years ago, highly recommend it. And by the way, terms of gifting, just a personal note sometimes. That's a thoughtful gift. That costs you very little, costs you stationery. You don't have to, give out steak knives per se. And then we at One Firefly use this website. This is a really fun, it's called Thanks. Kendall, is it thanks.com? There it is, thanks.com.
Thanks.com without the A. Essentially, it's a easy button where you can select a type of gift, everything from coffee to, high-end alcohol and everything in between, where you can very easily customize the message and send it to a recipient through email, and it notifies you on opening and all of those activities.
So gifting is awesome. If you're not doing it, add it to your arsenal. Now I'm going to hand it over to LJ to talk about Lutron DMC, your marketing dollars that you all worked really hard to earn.
Thanks, Ron. So yeah, let's get into the DMC process. We've tried to make the process for using it super easy and the reimbursement process easy as well with these 3 steps. First, you're going to complete your work with One Firefly, then you'll submit your paid receipt to Lutron, and then our Lutron team will receive it. You'll apply that credit, and then for the Lutron job we'll have on file. And then if you skip to the next slide, I'll go into a little bit more detail. So when you go into My Business, there's a tab at the very top that says DMC. Once you click on the DMC tab, you'll get this view and be able to see the credits that are available for you. And then when you click on Redeem Credits, there will be a couple simple questions you'll have to answer, and you'll be prompted to ask. We'll have your invoice and receipt that you're going to have to submit. And then with about 24 hours, this will be reviewed by our Lutron team, and your redeemable funds will be updated. Now, if you don't have the DMC tab on your My Business portal, please reach out to your sales rep. Sometimes this is just like a principal level access, and your sales rep will be able to work with you on this. And then finally, just a quick final reminder for DMC, the funds will remain available through December 31st. And this is the perfect time really to use these funds to grow your business before end of year. I know Ron's going to talk about it, but do not wait till December 31st to use these credits, okay?
Don't be that person, folks.
Yeah.
Don't be that December 31st person.
People will be on vacation. And utilize your relationship with One Firefly. This is why we're using them right now. And now I'm going to pass it to the team, and they're going to go over the One Firefly credits.
Yes, the countdown is on, and I know we only have a couple minutes and lots of questions here. So those of you who are status Lutron dealers, you also have some additional One Firefly money because of this wonderful partnership we have with Lutron. So Ron, if you go to the next slide here, if you are any one of these levels, then you have this level of One Firefly dollars to apply towards any Lutron related marketing initiative with us. We take that right off the top of the cost of your investment with us, and it's a fairly easy process. So again, we just want to emphasize, click the animation, Ron. We don't want you to spend, we want you to invest your marketing dollars. If you are making a purchase with your DMC, I want you to attach the word why behind it. If you can easily answer that question why, it is a good investment. If you are buying a trifold and you're like, I don't know what we're going to do with them, it's not a worthy investment. If you purchase a trifold and you say, hey, I want to hand one of these to every single person who walks into our showroom door, great. You have a great reason for using that investment towards that effort. So really just think about the why behind it. If you're not sure where to get started, here is a quick starting point. This is a snapshot of a couple different Lutron related initiatives we could help you with. There is much more to this. We'd love to sit down and have a strategy session, get to know you and your business, get to know your goals for the end of the year. Also, the new year is coming very, very quick. It's going to be here before you know it. So we want to sit down with you and understand what are your goals for 2026 and what sort of foundational elements can we put in place now that sets you up for success in 2026. So that's it. We are in Firefly. We've been helping technology professionals grow, integrators grow, just like you guys since 2007. We have a wonderful team on staff, and I know we've got a ton of questions, which I'm loving. And we have 4 minutes now, but we will stay on as long as we need to answer all those. So thank you guys again for joining.
Rebecca, do you want to take us through? What do we got?
I know, guys, I know we have a ton of questions that come in, which I love. If you have to jump because we're close to time, please do. We will keep recording the answers, and we will send out the recording to everyone here as well. Okay, so let's dive right in then. So question number 1 that came in was David, who says, we have a major debate in our office. Many colleagues argue that potential clients in the luxury space are not searching on the web and instead focus on networking for hiring their service providers. I believe that they are searching. Do you have any advice and data on how to argue that online search is as important or more than hoping to network into new clients?
Yeah, piece one, I would just say first thing, ask them. Ask your customers, do they use this thing called the internet? And I suspect many of them will say yes. And it's a complex web of places they could be doing search. And I could go down that rabbit hole, but it's not only Google now. It's Google, it's AI, it's social media, and it's review sites, it's Google Business Profile. There's lots of platforms where people are conducting, if not, maybe they know they generally want Lutron, maybe they know they generally want you, but maybe they're really looking to verify or research or validate that you're trustworthy. And so I think it's the internet is a very complex place, and the consumer's path of gaining confidence is very complex. It's not a straight line. And so the business owner controlling the narrative and helping raise their visibility. And I always talk about you're in the passenger seat and you just let whatever's on the internet happen to you, or you're in the driver's seat and you're defining the narrative. If you want to be known as the absolute best lighting and shading and lighting shop in your city, and for all of the reasons why, and you want that to be your brand, then you actually, as Kendall took us through, you need to know that, you need to write it down, and then you need to distribute that consistently across the web. The web is not going away, it's just evolving. And every business owner, every big brand has an opportunity to, manage that process.
And Ron, one other thing I want to touch on, and I see some people say, oh, our customers don't do Google searches. I get it. If you are a referral-based business and, one of your customers are referring your services to another, and they may say, hey, you've got to use Acme integration, give them a call. Then they leave their house, go home, they say, oh no, I forgot to get that number. I think it was they're still going to go to Google, type in your business name and look for your phone number. I'm certainly going to take a look at reviews. I'm certainly going to take a look at a website, even just if I'm glancing at it to kind of pre-qualify. They may not be searching for you, but they may be qualifying you or looking for your contact information. So even in those instances, it's really, really important to put your best foot forward because it's just one step in that experience.
I'll just add one other idea, and that is, for many of you, you want to maintain relationships with these clients. You finish the project and you're in a best position if you maintain a relationship with them for life. Because not only will they buy more, will they need upgrades, but they also are your best source of referrals. So the idea of you maintaining a regular dialogue, a professional dialogue, a helpful dialogue with them in the digital domain and or the in-person domain, we talked about events, it's a really good idea. It's a really, really good idea, right? So it's not only about Google search, it's about thinking about your brand and staying in front of your customer in all of the diverse ways that that's possible today.
All right, Rebecca.
Yeah, okay, so we had a lot of questions that came in during our event section, so I'm going to run through a lot of those. So first one was, do we have any thoughts or advice on hosting events for the uber wealthy?
I think, and I'll give, some obvious examples. If you are selling two channel, I mean, and I'll just take through my experience of just going through Robert Hacker's showroom at Triphase. When you walk through his space, there's a vignette, and in that vignette was a Macintosh stack of electronics with some very large amps. The amp stack was like $250,000. And then he had a beautiful set of tower speakers, and the tower speakers were like $90,000 a pair. Right. So if a customer said yes, and he says he's had many people after a demo go, yeah, I'll take that. That was a $300,000 or $400,000 sale that just happened like that. So having events, having those customers, if you curate your audience and curate the experience, absolutely they will come to your space. If you waste the opportunity because you don't put on a great event, or maybe it's disorganized, or maybe they don't feel that they got a lot out of it, because at the end of the day, it's about value, then they might not come back, and they might tell their friends not to come back. So it's very much your opportunity to raise the bar in how you put on events. And if so, absolutely, they'll be there. The best architects will be there. The best designers will be there. The best builders will be there. Life's built on networks. And so what you want to do is tap in and be part of that network.
Yeah, and I want to comment on that too. I would say tap into your Lutron rep. Something that we've been seeing that's really popular is Dine Under Ketra. You're showcasing the product. You're getting to see, the beautiful lighting scenes and everything. You're getting it catered by someone, like a great luxury company or something. But it doesn't always have to be that far. But you're having the conversation. You're seeing the product firsthand. A lot of dealers like to use their showroom. That's great. If you don't have a showroom, connect with your rep and see if you can utilize one of Lutron's showrooms and host this event. If you know you have an audience and everything, like tap into your people. You have your rep for this reason, to build this relationship, to get people to come to it. And yeah, just work with them and work with them on how you want to market and have this.
Great idea, LJ.
Yeah, that's great insights. Want to add too, could be worthwhile looking at other luxury brands who you could partner with to co-host an event in your market, which would be another way to help cross-pollinate some audiences.
Yeah, I know like Audio Visions out in California has held amazing Lutron events, and they'll hold them at artist galleries.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a gallery event. And so now you're partnered with a gallery and you're cross-pollinating your audiences. So Lutron's winning, Audio Visions is winning, the art gallery is winning. There's variations of events like that where you're cross-pollinating with museums or with luxury car showrooms or whatnot. You're really only limited by your imagination.
We had another question come in. How often should we hold events and how can we shake them up so that they don't feel repetitive?
I think we touched on this a little bit, and that is we really want quality over quantity. If you can do the quantity, then go ahead and do it. And we gave a lot of great examples, but really you want to focus on holding a good event that is well executed, because that is going to, bring in more than a bulk number of events. A way to mix it up would be to mix up your audiences. I think that's a great way to do it, whether you're mixing up the type of event, or maybe you're holding the same type of event, but you're bringing in different audiences. Maybe people have purchased at different times, new versus old. It's a trade partner, whatever it may be. Another great way to mix things up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you another random one just out of the box. And by the way, you all, there's a great list of ideas right here on the screen. But I think it was GHT held an event, and they held an event. I hope I'm not miscrediting this. The idea was brilliant. It was for members of this interior design partner, for them to bring their children in and to do a cookie bake off. And so the event had nothing to do with technology. It was just a matter of allowing these parents to spend quality time with their children in a fun environment where there was wine and snacks. Wine was not for the children. And the adults had a great time, and just it was great networking for everybody involved. So it's there's you want to start with getting laser focused on what's the audience. Who do you want to be in front of? And then I would back solve, and we get a little bit of a cheat sheet here on the screen within the types of events. And I would also go back to LJ's advice. You could talk to your rep then about their experience helping or assisting with dealers that have maybe run similar events. You could also talk to your network if you're in a buying group about other dealers they might have that are running events and what their experiences are. You don't have to feel alone. There's a lot of people out there that have done these things before you.
And then we had a question about any advice for maybe areas that are a little more saturated. There's a lot of companies throwing events. Ricardo specifically asked about New York. He said there's a lot of places doing these, and so nobody feels inclined to go anymore.
I think that every market is different. So I keep in mind we're in this presentation, and in 1 hour we're presenting a couple of marketing, I would call them tactics that might fit into your business strategy to grow. But if one particular, this is not the entirety of all of your options. So that's where Kendall's comment is that you really want to brainstorm with your marketing or events partner and ultimately help them fully understand your situation. What have you tried? What has worked? What hasn't worked? To then present to you the options of what else you could try.
All right. We had a question in regarding creating a luxury experience. Can you speak to how to adjust this to a client that wants the luxury product without the luxury delivery?
I mean, I've heard many stories where, an integrator will have the version of the story here that I'm recalling is like from Texas, where the person drives up in a super beat up truck, comes out of the truck with mud on their boots and ripped jeans and overalls, and enters their shop and proceeds to order, a $500,000 hi-fi system. And that person in those muddy boots happened to be a farmer that runs a very, very large business in town. And if you judged the book by the cover, you might have not thought they were your customer. And so I would challenge that maybe that particular demographic or type of luxury consumer maybe doesn't want to go to your nice event. It's possible. Maybe they want private one-on-one discussion and that's it. So it's not to paint all customers with a broad brush. Everybody's unique, but there are types. There are, avatars or ideal customer types. And that's kind of what you see here, even represented by these generative images above these types that we've named on the screen. And I think ultimately there are many, many cases of your peers all across the country designing events or activities or just broader marketing strategies to try to appeal to a particular demographic. And if you really then get into the data layer, most of the effectiveness of the activities is like a bell curve, right? In other words, there's an outlier. Maybe my farmer example is an outlier. Maybe he's not a great example of someone that would come to your event, but there probably are a lot that would come to your event. And so it's just a matter of being smart about knowing your customer, being smart about dedicating money to branding and marketing, which is for many technology contracting businesses a starting place. I think it's awesome that Lutron provides funds. Sadly, some businesses, the only funds they spend are the funds vendors give them. And I think that that's a dramatic mistake. I think that businesses should be investing in the success of their businesses. And manufacturer funds are nice and additive. It shows a wonderful partnership and collaboration, but the responsibility to grow your business is yours. And it's your business. It's a P&L expense called marketing. And ultimately, you invest those monies into strategies that are aligned with your business goals for the year and years ahead. So it requires the discipline of knowing where you're going with your business and or knowing what challenges or obstacles your business is facing, and then aligning that, being known by leadership and known by your team, and then aligning your marketing activities to support that. And then knowing everything in marketing doesn't work all the time for everybody in every market. So it's a testing and measuring process. When an email campaign fails, it does not mean email is a failure. It means that email campaign was a failure. It means that email campaign didn't work. Well, how many types of filaments did Thomas Edison try before he found tungsten in the incandescent light bulb? Type the answer. Does anyone know the answer? How many types of materials did Edison try? I'm not telling you it's going to take you this many tries in marketing. It won't. But what I'm letting you know, and the answer, by the way, is anyone going to participate? No? There we go. One. Sergio, I don't like your answer. That's a bad answer. Not one. It was 10,000. He tried 10,000 materials before he found tungsten. And so the point is marketing, it's a testing and measuring process of putting plans into action, knowing your goals for benchmarks and outcomes, and then ultimately always using a feedback loop of feedback, meaning your team's feedback on what's coming in. Is it good or not? Is it aligned with your ideal customer and project type? And then iterating your marketing activities accordingly. Sorry, Sergio, to pick on your answer. I appreciate you putting a number.
Richard is asking, I'd love to hear a perspective on intentionally using different marketing tactics or platforms like your website and social for focused and specific purposes or outcomes.
Perspective on intentional.
Ooh. Maybe I could just touch on one example here, and that would be email marketing. I think a lot of people have some misconceptions about email marketing, but email marketing can be a really it could be a laser focused way to get in front of a certain customer type, and that is existing customers. We all just talked in the chat about how nobody searches and everybody is very referral based and all of that. You want to stay in front of your existing customers, and by curating an email list and putting together an email that is not salesy, but enters their inbox maybe once a month, not something that's going to overwhelm them or annoy them, and put useful content in front of them, it's a really, really great way. Oftentimes, dealers are sitting on a gold mine. By emailing their existing customer list, it can spin up all sorts of cross-selling and upselling opportunities for those that need something. They purchased a second house, they have a friend, family member, whatever it may be. And it's a great way to get back in front and spin up some new sales. So that's one kind of laser focused tactic. There are a million tactics, and many of them kind of weave and support each other. Video supports your website supports you being found, and all of them kind of have crossover. But just Richard, just to kind of give you one example of a tactic there, hopefully that helps.
I'm going to back Kendall off the million because that might scare some of you. There aren't actually a million, but there's probably a couple dozen that you should design into your strategy. I know, Kendall, you're being facetious when you said a million.
I was like, did I say a million?
You said a million.
Many.
I would just challenge the conversation you'll have with your marketing team, or you'll have with one Firefly, or you'll have with the agency in your town, is they're going to ultimately want to know, how will you measure success from investing your business's very valuable dollars into branding and marketing activities? And when they understand how you'll measure success, and then they understand the time frames that you are willing to allow these efforts to take place in, then you're going to have the real conversation. Because some of you want the sun, the moon, and the stars, and you want it to happen in the next 90 days, or you're going to cut your marketing budget. I know that's no one on this call, but we might have had conversations with people like that in the past. And then there are other people that, let's say they're a $2 million business. And I'll say, well, what's your goal for revenue next year? We'd really like to do $4 million in business. Okay. So you plan to grow 100% in the next 12 months. Have you thought about what's involved in your hiring and your management and your infrastructure and your vehicles if you were to do that? Oh, no, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, maybe 10%. Okay, so you want to do $2.2 million next year. So in other words, the details matter. I want to grow my Lutron shading business. Okay, do you want to grow it everywhere? No, I really want to grow it in this particular market. Okay, and how much are you doing right now? This amount. What would be success next year? What's realistic? How would can you get balance? What do you want with how would you get the work done? And then we can back solve in, well, ultimately, what are the marketing tactics? Think of maybe there's some social media, maybe there's SEO, maybe we need to improve the website, maybe we need to do Google Ads. These are all channels of communication to try to get to that ideal customer. And that's what any good agency is going to try to do, is to help you clearly define who is that ideal customer, and then what are the best types of communication to put in front of them that ultimately get them to act. And that, at the end of the day, we know sales are what pay the bills. So that's the goal.
Well said.
Well, I think that's all the questions we had. Thank you so much for everyone who asked and stuck around. We really appreciate it. We love just chit-chatting like this with you all. So thank you so much. Again, everyone will receive the recording and the deck. I know we gave a lot of information and content today, so you will have that all on hand. And please feel free to reach out directly if there's anything else we can answer for you.
Awesome. I just want to say thanks, Team One Firefly, and thank you, LJ and Team Lutron. It's always an honor to collaborate and do these educational webinars and spend time with your dealers. We know that this is an honor to do that. It's an honor that's been given to us at One Firefly, and we really appreciate it. So thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, thanks, Ron.
Bye.